We begin today the Gemara at the bottom of Daf Beis, Amud Beis, 3 lines of the bottom of the Amud, where it says Shein Beregel. The Gemara here brought what Rav Papa said, that when it comes to the Ovis Nezikin, there are some that the Toildes are similar to the Av, has the same halacha like the Av, but there is a case where the Toilde is not like the Av. So in order for the Gemara to find what that is, the Gemara goes through all the Ovis and Toildes until it comes to the conclusion which Toilde of the Nezikin is not similar to the Av. So the Gemara continues.
One for both. If you do both.
No, that's for sure. You chayv each one separately. It's not similar to by Shabbos. Yeah, Av and Toilde you chayv for whatever damage you do separately. But the question is, the amount that you pay, is it the same like the Av? So the Gemara here says maybe by Shein V'Regel the Toilde is not similar to the Av. Shein V'Regel heichik sivi.
Similar, you mean in paying?
Yeah, in paying, right. Shein V'Regel heichik sivi. Where do we find in the Torah B'chlal that it says that you pay for the damage of the shein and the regel, the teeth of the eating, or the animal that walks and tramples? Because the Tanya we learned in the Braisa, V'shilach, the Torah says V'shilach. Right, so it says in the pasuk, Ki yaver ish sodei cherem, V'shilach es be'iroi u'bir b'zdei acher. So what does V'shilach mean? Zeh regel. This is sending, means that the animal was sent, the animal is going and it's trampling, and it breaks things. Where do I see that the term V'shilach refers to the animal trampling with his feet? Because it says Meshalchei regel hasher v'achamor, sends with the feet asher and a chamor. So you see in the lashon of the pasuk the term V'shilach and Meshalchei refers to the regel of the animal. Then the pasuk continues and says Ubir b'zdei acher. So what does Ubir mean? Zu Hashem. That means the animal went and it ate with its mouth, with its teeth, the food. Where do you see that Ubir refers to the teeth? It's a pasuk that says, "Kashiyavayir golol atumai." The golol eats until it is fully digested. So the golol, Rashi says, one pshat, golol refers to the teeth. That golol means it gets revealed when you eat. Sometimes the teeth are revealed, sometimes the teeth are concealed. So golol refers to eating with the teeth. Another pshat, Rashi says, golol refers to the dung of the animal that it eats with the teeth, and then it gets digested and it turns into golol. But you see that golol refers to the animal eating, and it says yaver hagolol. So when it says ubier, it also means the animal eating with its teeth. That's the braisa. Now the Gemara is going to go through this braisa to explain all the details, the rayas that the Tana of the braisa brings. So what did the Tana say in the braisa here? V'shilach zu regel. V'shilach is the hezek that happens through the feet. And he brings a raya from the pasuk Meshalchei regel asher v'chamor. Says the Gemara, time with the Kosav Rachman and Meshalchei regel hasher v'chamor. The only reason we know that V'shilach means the animal's damage when it tramples with its feet is because of this raya, Meshalchei regel. Hola if not for this pasuk, b'may maik mislo. How else would you explain when it says that V'shilach es beiroi, V'shilach that he sent the animal went? How else? What else could the pasuk be talking about when it says that the animal damaged? If you would say that it means that it damaged with its horns, what ksiv? That it says already separately that we had before in the Gemara that v'chiyigoy for v'chiyigach. That's with keren. Ishein, if would be referring to the animal eating with its teeth, ksiv. That also says separately ubiyeh. So the only thing that's really left is anyways regel. So what do we need a raya to say that v'shilach is the hezek with the feet if that's the only option? And says the Gemara, itzterich. No, I need a raya that v'shilach refers to regel. Because salka daita chamina, otherwise I would think to say, idi vidi yashein. Maybe when the Torah writes v'shilach, and then it says ubier, maybe both of these expressions is the animal damaging with its teeth. So why is it saying it twice? Because v'ha, the machal yakarna, once the Torah is saying that you're obligated to pay when the animal damages in such a way that it totally destroys the keren, whatever it's eating, it completely destroys it, that it does not grow back. It eats up whatever it eats and it doesn't grow back at all. And then the Torah comes and says that Yechayev, even when it does not destroy it completely. Ubir means that it destroyed it completely. And loy mechal yakarna, according to Rashi's pshat, means when you have something that's growing and it grows a little and the animal eats from it, but then it will grow back. So therefore that's called loy mechal yakarna. That's Rashi's pshat. Taisus' pshat of loy mechal yakarna is the animal that just rolled over things and made it completely dirty, and you're able to clean it off. You're able to it didn't destroy it. So maybe you would think you only chayiv if it destroyed. But maybe if it caused the damage and it didn't destroy, maybe you wouldn't be chayiv. Kamash malon. That's why the Tan of the Brais has to say that no, it's not coming to teach me that you're chayiv for both of these cases, but it's actually regel. It's a different kind of a hezek. There's a hezek of shein, and then there's a hezek of regel. Okay? So the Gemara says, Navahashte daikimne a regel. So now that you're saying that Mishilach refers to the hezek that the animal does with its feet, so shen de loy mechal yakarne minola. So this point that we just brought up, that there's a way that the animal eats and it destroys, and it could eat without completely destroying. So how do you know that you're chayiv for that? Maybe you shouldn't be chayiv for that if the Torah doesn't say it separately. And says the Gemara, dum yederegel. No, we can learn shein from the way animal damages when it tramples with its feet. Just like by the regel, there's no difference, because only by the shein the Torah uses the term ubir. Ubir sounds like you would only be chayiv if you destroy completely. But by regel I would say that it says v'shilach. V'shilach means you chayiv in any way that the animal goes and tramples. So just like that's true by regel, so the same thing, av shein, when the animal eats, loishna machal yakarna, doesn't make a difference if it fully destroys, v'loishna loy machal yakarna, even if it does not fully destroy, either way yachayev, just like regel. So that explains the first part of the Braisa, when it brings the v'shilach, and the raya that it brings, that v'shilach means regel. What does it say in the next part of the Braisa? O mamar, ubier zu hashem. Ubier refers to the animal eating with its teeth. The Braisa brings a raya, kashiyavayer, hagolol, atumai. And over there it means the eating with the teeth. So the Gemara asks the same question. How do we know that ubier means the teeth? Because we have the raya from this pasuk. If not for this raya, so then what would we say this pasuk is talking about? If you would say it's referring to the keren, the horns, ksiv, that's a separately kiyigach. If it would be referring to the animal's feet, ksiv, that also says separately v'shilach. So the Gemara is asking the same question like I asked before. When it says ubier, isn't it understood that it must be referring to the teeth because there's nothing else it could be talking about? No. So the Gemara over here also says itzrich. I have to have a raya that ubier refers to the animal eating with its teeth. Because otherwise I would think to say idi v'idi aregel. Maybe both terms, v'shilach and ubier, is referring to the animal damaging with its feet. Why does it have to say it twice? Because the azl memela. When it says ubier, it means that the animal just went on its own. You weren't careful with it, and you allowed it to go on someone's property. And the sholach shluchi. And over here, the animal went, you sent it. The person sent the animal to go, and therefore you mamish directly caused the damage by sending the animal. So maybe that's why the Torah, when it wasn't enough for the Torah to write v'shilach, it also had to write v'ubier to say that you chayiv, even if you just allowed it to go on its own. Kamash malon, that's what the Tan of the Brais has to say, that no, that v'shilach is regel, and ubier is not another kind of regel where it went on its own, but it's actually the hezek of shein, when it eats with its teeth. So again...
So the same pasuk for two things?
No, it's only going on shein. The Gemara is not going to explain.
What's the one? What's for regel?
Regel is a v'shilach. Regel is v'shilach.
That's the pasuk of Kiyivar, no?
The same pasuk is saying two different kind of ezekim. Kiyaver ish sadeh keren, and then it says v'shilach is birai, ubier. V'shilach is regel, and ubier is shein. But now it's two different words, two different ezekis.
No, because when you start off, what kiyavar means?
Kiyaver means that you damaged the other person's property. The Gemara is not talking about that part of the pasuk. But afterwards, when it says v'shilach and ubier over there, the pasuk is dividing it into two different kinds of ezekis. So now the Gemara clarifies again, v'hashta do'iki yashein v'regel. So now that these two terms, v'shilach and ubier, v'shilach is going on regel and ubier is going on shein. So again, v'hasha da'iki yashein. Now that we say that ubier goes on shein, regel the ozlam memela minola. So from where do I know that you are chayiv if your behemoth went on its own and you didn't send it? How do you know that you're chayiv? The Torah by regel uses the term v'shilach. V'shilach sounds like you sent it. So maybe you take a potter if it went on its own. Says the Gemara, no, dum yedeshein, because I compare the hezek of regel to the hezek of shein. Ma shein leshna sholchel shluchi, just like by shein, it makes no difference if you sent it. And leshna dazal memela, it makes no difference if it went on its own, because by shein it says ubir. Gebir means it just ate, not that you sent it. Af regel, same by regel, even though there it says v'shilach, loishno sholcha shluchi, doesn't make a difference if you sent the animal, loishno azlo memela, doesn't make a difference if it went on its own. Either way, you're going to be chayiv. But now the Gemara has another question here. V'lichtav rachmana v'shilach. Still, we could say that it would be enough if the Torah would just write the term that your animal went v'shilach, and I would know both shein and regel from the one term v'shilach. It's not necessary to write a second term of beer, because the mashma regel umashma shein. This one term v'shilach can mean both. It means that the animal tramples with its feet, and it means it eats with its teeth. How is this? Mashma regel. The word v'shilach means regel, as we already brought before. The chsiv mishalche regel asher v'chamayr. So the shilach mishalche means the regel. But now the Gemara brings a new pasuk. Mashma shein. The term v'shilach also means shein. The chsiv v'shen behemois ashalach bam. I'll send the teeth of the animals to go and damage them. The teicheche. So over here, you see that the term ashalach, to send, says by shein. So when the Torah writes v'shilach, it includes both shein and regel. So why does the Torah have to write separately ubir going on shein? Answers the Gemara, because you love kra yisera. If I wouldn't have the extra pasuk of ubir havamina, then I would say oiha oiha. It's either one. Maybe it's only going on one of them. Oy regel hazekei motzi. I would say maybe it's referring only to regel. And maybe only regel is chayiv because you have more of a responsibility to be careful for this, because an animal damaging with its feet is very, very common. So this is something you have to be very much aware of and be careful of. Or maybe I would say that you chayiv for shein because the yesh anah lazekei. Over here that the animal has anah, so maybe that's something that you have an obligation and a responsibility. So I would say maybe it's one, not the other. I wouldn't know which one it is. So therefore the Torah has to write separately ubir and v'shilach. But the Gemara doesn't accept this answer. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Mechdi, let's see. Shkulene. They're basically equal. There's no way to say that it's one and not the other. So if so, v'yavoyu shneim. You should learn from just one word, v'shilach. You can learn both. The animal damaging with its feet and with its mouth, with its teeth. Because the haimenai mafkis. Which one are you going to say you potter? Each one has a certain character that there's a reason why you should be chayiv. So it should be both. There's no reason to take out one and not the other. So the Gemara says it's that no, it's still the Torah has to write separately ubir and v'shilach for a different reason. Because going back to what we said before, if the Torah would only write v'shilach, then I would say that you would be chayiv maybe for both, for shein and regel, but only if you sent the animal. But if the animal just went there on its own, I would say you're not chayiv. The Torah writes the term v'shilach. Kamash malon. So the Torah has to say ubir and v'shilach. So the real reason the Torah has to write both is to tell you that you chayiv for shein and regel, sai when it goes on its own, and sai when you sent it. Right. So so ultimately ubir is shein and v'shilach is regel. But the only reason I have to write ubir separately is not because I wouldn't know shein otherwise. It's because otherwise I would think that you only chayiv if you sent the animal. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the Braise and the source in the Torah where you see shein v'regel. But now the question is, what are the toilets of shein v'regel, and do they have the same halacha as the av of shein v'regel? Says the Gemara told the shein mahi. So what is the toilet of shein? Says the Gemara the animal is rubbing itself against the wall because it's itching something, whatever. It's doing it for its own anah. It's doing it for its hana. It's not doing it with the intention to break the wall, but it's doing it for hana. The whole concept of shein is the animal eats hana. So when the animal rubs itself against the wall for hana, that's shein. Or v'tin for peiris lanasa, the animal was it rolled on fruits and vegetables and it got it all dirty and it was doing it for its own hana. That's all a toiled of shein. The idea that the animal damages because of its own pleasure. So the Gemara says, is this a toilda where the halacha would be different than the av? Ma'ishno shein the yeshana lazek. What's the difference? The av of shein you chayiv because the hana the animal had here, and it's your money ushmirase alecha, and you have the obligation to guard it. Haninami the toilda as well. It's the same thing. Yeshana lazekon. There's a no for its damage, and it's your money, and therefore you have to guard it, and you chayiv the same payment. There's no difference between the av and the toilda. Ella says the Gemara, you're right, toilda the shein is kashein. The toilda of shein has the same halacha as shein itself. When Rav Papa said that there is a toilda that's not like the av, a toilda the regel. that goes on the toil dov regel. So the Gemara says, let's see, toil de regel mai. What's the toil dov regel? Regel is a kind of hezek with which the animal just tramples, it walks, and it's hezekei motzui. Wherever it goes, it just tramples on things. So mai, what is it? Hezekei begufa derech hilucha. Just like the animal could damage with its feet when it tramples, so its body also, when the body of the animal walks and moves around, it could be bumping into things and damaging it. Or bisara, with the hairs of the animal, if there's something that got tangled into the hairs of the animal and it dragged it and it broke it, derech hilucha, as it's going. Or b'shlif shaleh, some kind of something that was on the animal, on the saddle that the animal is carrying on it. Or b'prumbi yeshuvipiyah, there's this bit that the animal has in its mouth, and with that it bumped into something and damaged. Or b'zuk shebitzavada, with the bell that it has on its neck. So all these things are a toil of regel because it's just something that it causes damage as it walks along in its way, and it's a zekei motzi, just like the regel when it tramples. So again, the Gemara says, how can you say that over here the toil does not have the same halacha as the av? What's the difference? The av of regel, this is a hezek that just happens commonly when it walks, and it's your money, and you have to guard it. Haninami, so to the tail, it's the same thing. So the tail is the same halacha as the av. Okay, so the Gemara moves on now to the next av. Elo tail de regel keregel. So here we see that the tail of regel is the same as regel. When Rav Papa said that there's a tail that doesn't have the same halacha as the av, I told the bar. This must be referring to the tail of the hezek of bar when you dig a pit in the Rishus HaRabim. Says the Gemara, first let's see what the tailda is. Tailda the bar my nihu. What is the tailda of bar? So bar, you dig a pit, someone falls inside and he dies there, he gets damaged there. That's the av, that's what it says in the Torah. And actually in the Torah, when it says the av of bar, it talks about a case where the bar is deep enough that the person that falls in will die there. Well, not a person. Okay, we'll see. Whatever animal that fell in there will die. It says in the pasuk there, "Bala ber yishalem kesef yashul bala v'amesi aloi." It's talking about someone that died, an animal that died in this bar. So now says the Gemara, what are we going to say? What is the tail of bar? Elaim, if you're going to say av yud, the av of bar, what's written in the Torah clearly is a bar that's 10 tvachim deep, and that depth is deep enough that if an animal falls in and dies, it's able to die from such a drop, from the pressure from this drop. So therefore, you're chayav for the death of this animal. And what would be a tailda? The tailda is tes. A tailda is a bird that's not so deep, and it's just 9 tfachim. So you're not going to be responsible for an animal that died there, but an animal that went in there, that fell in there, and he got damaged there. That's what you're going to be chayav for. Says the Gemara, why would you say that the av is if it's 10 and the tailda if it's only 9 tfachim deep? Loi tes ksivi, v'loi yud ksivi. It doesn't say in the Torah 9 tvachim, and it doesn't say the shear of 10 tvachim. It doesn't say, it just says you shouldn't dig a pit in the Rishus, that if you dig a pit in the Rishus HaRabim, you're going to be responsible for what happens in it. It doesn't say either one. So the Gemara says, no, holei kasha. That's not a question, because in the Torah it says, v'hameis yeloi. So when the Torah speaks about a bird, it's talking about a bird that's deep enough that the animal that falls in will die. So the Kilul Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan estimated the shear for this, that Yod of Misa, a pit 10 tvachim deep, can cause an animal to die in it. Tes, Nezikin of the Misa Layavdi. But if it's only 9 tvachim, whatever's going to fall inside is not going to die. So it never says in the Torah the amount of 10 tvachim, but we could still say that the Av is 10 tvachim, because it says in the Torah Mace, and the Tailda is 9 tvachim, because it can't die. The Gemara doesn't accept this here. There's sof. In the end of the day, the point still remains that Zeh Avla Misa, and v'zeh avlin izokin. It says taking the Torah mace, because if it dies, so then it must be that it was deep enough that you caused it, that it was able to die. But from that it's self-understood. Here in the first pshat Rashi says, from that it's self-understood that if it's deep enough that it could die, so then you're chayav for the death. But if it can't cause any death, so then you'll be chayav for the nesek, for the damage that happened. So even though it doesn't say it's mamish beferish in the pasuk, but it's self-understood from what it says in the pasuk. So therefore, the Gemara is saying that a pit that's 9 tvachim deep is just as much an av of the nezikin as much as 10 tvachim deep. It's the same thing. Yeah, okay, the second shot of Rashi is a similar thing. The point is, as long as you cause a damage to this animal and it was deep enough that this bird is able to cause that damage, whether it's a death, whether it's another kind of damage, so then that is the Av of bird. So this distinction of 10 or 9 Tvachim deep, this is not the Av and the Tilda. So hello, what is the Tilda of bird? Avnoi, Sakinoi, Umasoi, person dropped a rock in the Rishus Rabim or a knife, or his package you left there in the middle of the Rishus Rabim where people are traveling, Shenichim Rishus Rabim, Ve'eziku, and it damaged. So that's not a pit, but it's similar, it's the same thing. You're causing a stumbling block in the Rishus Rabim. That's the Tilda. Says the Gemara, now this Tilda has a halacha that's different than the Av. Hey Chidami, what are we talking about over here? What when he left this in the Rishus Rabim, what did he leave? How did he leave it there? If he left it there and he just declared it hefker, he left it, he gave up on it and he just left it there. So then Ben LeRav, Ben LeShmuel, both according to Rav and Shmuel, we'll see soon the argument of Rav and Shmuel, but they will both agree in this case, Hainu Bar. This is exactly what Bayer is. What's the Chiddush of Bayer? The Torah says a person goes ahead and digs a pit in the Rishus Rabim. You can't come and say, I dug it in the Rishus Rabim, but it's hefker. It's not my possession that's damaging. It's just it's there in the Rishus Rabim. It's hefker. It has nothing to do with me. Of course it has to do with you. By you digging it, the Torah says it's like yours. You become responsible for it, even though it's hefker. The same thing, you drop a rock in the Rishus Rabim, even though it's hefker, it's exactly like a bird that you're going to be chayiv for that. So it's the same exact halacha like a bird. Now, if you left something in the Rishus Rabim, you left your knife, you left your package there, you weren't mafkir it, it's yours. But you left it there. Now it's your possession that was mazik. Says the Gemara, what is this a Tilda of? Is it a Tilda of bird or not? So here the Gemara brings the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. If according to Shmuel, he says, Kulam mi bayrai lamadnu. We learn everything from bird. Anything you leave in the Rishus Rabim, whether it's hefker like a bird that you dig there, or it's not hefker, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing like a bird. A bird is something which is stationary in its place, it's not going anywhere, and you left it there, whether it's you dug the pit there or you left another object there, it's a tilde of bird, hainu bird. So that's the same halacha as bird. Rav, and if according to Rav, Rav holds that if it's something that's yours, you weren't mafkir it, then you actually learn it from shayr. Because shayr is your ox, it's your possession, and it's your possession that was mazik. If you leave something in the Rishus Rabim, even though it's not exactly similar to shayr, it doesn't have a life and it doesn't move around like a shayr, but because you still own it, it's compared to shayr. So you learn it from shayr.
Bird is something that's hefker?
That's, that is a bird. A bird is something which doesn't belong to you. If you dig a pit in the Rishus Rabim, you have no ownership over it. That's the whole chiddush of bird, that you chayiv over it, even though it's hefker. So therefore Rav holds, if it's something that you have ownership of it, you're not learning it from bird, it's different than bird. You learn it from shayr. Taisus actually adds over here that, well, the halacha will be the same. Yeah, but the question is where you learn it from. Taisus here actually says you can't learn it from shayr itself because it's different than shayr. Shayr has a ruach chayim, it's an animal that moves. Let's say this package you left there in the street, even though it's yours, but it doesn't move around. It's also similar to bird. Taisus says that you learn it from bird and shayr together. You have to learn it from both of them. Okay, we'll see later. The Gemara is going to talk about this. But the point is, the Gemara over here says, Hainu shayr, you learn it out from shayr. And we already said before on Daf Beis that the tilde of shayr is the same like shayr, whether it's shein v'regel or keren. We had before keren on Daf Beis. It has the same halacha like shayr itself. So here the Gemara concludes regarding bay. Why are you obligated to pay for when you dig a pit? Not because you own it, but because you made it. You are the one that dug this in the middle of Rishus Rabim. You're making something which is causing damage. And therefore it's considered to be like yours, like your money, by the very fact that you made it there, even though it's not yours, but the Torah considers it to be yours. And you have to guard it. Haninami, so too, the avnei sakinim asay, if you leave these things in the Rishus Rabim, you made it there, you left it there for damage, it could damage. And it's like your money, and therefore you're chayiv to pay, you have to guard it. So basically we see here that the tilde of bayr is the same as bayr itself. There's no reason to make any distinction here. It says the Gemara Ela tilde the bayr kebayr. The tilde of bayr taka has the same halacha as bayr itself. Now Bava Kama Rav Papa, that is a tilde the mave. When Rav Papa said there's a tilde that's not the same as the av, let's see if this is possible to say regarding the next thing that it said in the Mishnah, mave. So now what is mave? Says the Gemara, my niu. What is mave? So here the Gemara brings the bekitzer, the machlokes about mave. So Elish Shmuel, we're going to learn later about Ichis. The Gemara is going to explain the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. So what's the machlokes? Shmuel says the Oma Mave Zushain. The word Mave means when the animal damages with its teeth. And the Mishnah says this separately, even though it says before Shire, but it says separately the animal damaging with its teeth. So that can be. That we already went through. Hoi Kimne Tolda the Shein Kishain. We already explained that the Tolda of Shein is the same as Shein. So this is not the one that's the Tolda is different than the Av. Rav, if we're going to go like Rav's opinion, how does Rav understand what's Mave? No, Rav said Mave ze Odom. Mave refers to a person, a human being that's mazik. So now the Gemara goes through this. What is the Av and what is the Tolda of Odom? Ma Yavis or Ma Tolda Sispe. What is the Av and what is the Tolda of an Odom? If you're going to say Av, the Av of when it says in the Torah, Odom Makkah behema yishalmena. I believe that's the pasuk, the source when it talks about an Odom that's Makkah, that he damages someone's property or someone's animal. So what is that pasuk talking about? Near a person that's awake and he's doing it consciously. That's the Av. Tolda. What's the Tolda of Odom? Yasha. A person that damages while he's sleeping. And this is, we'll see, the Gemara will talk about this later. A person that goes to sleep in a place, in a position that he ends up damaging something, that not when if someone else puts, let's say a person is sleeping in his bed, and someone comes and puts dishes in his bed after he went to sleep, you're not going to be chayav for that. But if there was already dishes there before, and you went and lie down there, and you end up damaging it, so you're going to be chayav, even though you damage it while you're sleeping. That's the Tolda. Says the Gemara, but this Tolda vatnan adam mud lo'ilam. A person is always responsible, whether he's awake, whether he's asleep. But we'll see all the details about this in the second Perek. Beiner ben Yashan, awake or asleep. So it's the same halacha. The Tolda has the same halacha as the Av over there. That can be the Tolda that's different than the Av. Elo akichoi v'niyoi. There is another thing that could be a Tolda from Adam, which maybe is different than the Av. And what is that? Kichai v'niyoi, meaning that the person wasn't mazik directly with his hands by doing an action. But kichai v'niyoi, there was fluids that came out of his mouth or from his nose, and those fluids caused damage. Now, says the Gemara, what happened here exactly? Hey chidami, how did this happen? If it's as it's mamish flowing directly from his body, that's how it was mazik. So then koichayhu. This is mamish directly from the koyach of the person himself. So it's the same like if he was mazik with his hands, with his own physical body. So it's no different than the Adam hamazik himself. But if you're going to say that this is fluids that came out of his body and then it landed on the ground, and then after it landed, it caused someone to slip or something else happened. So then, what is this? Bein l'Rav, bein l'Shmuel, hainu bar. That's not Adam HaMazik B'chlal. Then it's bar. You're leaving a deposit from yourself on the ground, and it's there, and it's mazik like a bar. That you dig, and it's left there to be mazik someone. So the Gemara concludes again regarding this. Elo Tolda the Mave Kemave. The Tolda of Mave, whether it's Adam or Shem, we said already before, but here we're saying Adam. It's the same like Tolda the Mave is Mave. Now, maybe when Rav Papa said that there's a Tolda that's not the same as the Av, maybe that's going on the mazik of Eish. Says the Gemara, let's see, what's the nature of fire? How is it mazik? What's its Tolda? Tolda Eish Ma'iniyu. What is the Tolda of Eish? Ilema avnoi sakinoi umasoi. So the Tolda of Eish would be just like a fire. What happens? You light a fire in one place, and then there's the natural wind, Ruach Mitsuya, that picks up the fire you lit in one place, and it brings it to another place, and you're responsible for that. So similar, a person takes a rock or a knife or a package, and he places it on a rooftop, V'naflu, and from there it went flying down. With Beruach Mitsuya, and it's your responsibility because this was the ordinary wind that came and blew it down. Vehiziku. So it's same exact thing like fire. Says the Gemara, Hey Chidami. So what are we talking about over here? If while it was flying in the air, so it was mazik, hainu eish. It's the exact same thing as eish. What's the chiddush when the Torah says that you're obligated to pay for damage that happens with fire? You might come and say, I lit the fire, but then there's an outside force of nature that is now causing the fire to travel. But still the Torah says, this is considered to be like your money. And again, over here, even though it's not mamish your money, even if you just lit a fire somewhere in the Rishus Harabim and it went and damaged you, you could say that I don't own this, it's hefker, but you chayiv for that. And you have to guard this fire. Haninami. So too, if you have a rock or something that you placed in an area that the wind could pick it up and it could fly, koyach achem morev behen, so that the wind is taking it and it's damaging while it's flying. It's like your money, ushmiras and alecha, and you have to guard it that it shouldn't damage. So it's exact. The toilda has the same nature as the eish itself, so there should be no different in its payment. Ella the Gemara concludes, toilda the eish ke'eish. The toilda of fire is the same as fire. So we just went through all the avos and toildas, everything. And we pointed out on everything, the halacha of the toilda, because the toilda has the exact same nature as the av, there's no reason to be mechalik in the payment. So now the Gemara comes back to one of them. When did the Rav Papa say that there's a toilda that doesn't have the same halacha as the av, that's going on the toilda of regel? But the Gemara asks, so I kimnet, toilda the regel keregel. We said before that the animal damages with different parts of its body, similar to trampling with its feet, and has the same halacha as when it damages with its feet. So the Gemara answers, no, there is another kind of damage that the animal does with its feet, and that is b'chatzi nezek tzroides. There's the halacha that when the animal is not trampling with its feet, but tzroides. Tzroides means as the animal walks, it kicks up pebbles, and those tzroides, pebbles, go and damage something. So in such a case, you only pay chatzi nezek, you only pay half of the damage. Now, the hezek of tzroides is not exactly the same as trampling. Trampling is the feet are directly trampling and breaking. Here, the feet are kicking the pebbles, and the pebbles are breaking. So it's like a koyach that comes, that's more indirect. So over here, you only pay half. The hilchas gemidila, this is a halacha l'Moshe Misinai, that you only pay half, you don't pay the full payment. So this is a toilda of regel, but still, it pays not like regel. It only pays half. Okay. So now you might think that this is if it pays chatzi nezek, shouldn't we say that it's a toilda of keren? Keren also pays chatzi nezek. So Rashi over here says no, it's not like keren. By keren, the fact that you pay chatzi nezek over there, it's a knas. By keren, really, you should be totally potter. Just a knas that you pay chatzi nezek. Over here, the halacha l'Moshe Misinai of regel is that you pay chatzi nezek, not that it's a knas, that you pay half, and it's a toilda of regel, but you don't pay fully like regel. This is the case that Rav Papa was referring to when he said that it's not the same as regel, the toilda that's not the same as the av of regel. Now, v'amai korila toilda the regel. If there's a halacha l'Moshe Misinai that says that you chayiv when the animal kicks these pebbles and it pays half, so why are you even calling it a toilda of regel? Maybe you should just say that it's a separate halacha l'Moshe Misinai, you chayiv for this, and has nothing to do with any of the avis over here. Says the Gemara, no, l'shalim and aliyah. The fact that you pay from the best of your properties, just like the Torah says by regel, and that pasuk where it says ubir v'shilach ubir b'steyacheh, the conclusion of that pasuk is meitav sadeh, meitav karmi yishalom, that you pay from the best. This halacha applies to tzreides as well, that you have to pay from the best. So that we don't have in halacha l'Moshe Misinai. That we know because it's a toilda of regel. So that's why it's a toilda of regel regarding this detail that it pays from the best. But on the other hand, it doesn't pay the same amount. It only pays half. That's why it's not exactly the same. What the Gemara says about this, one second, let's just finish the Inyan. So the Gemara asks on this, V'hami boye Rabbe. This halacha we just said now, that for tzreides you have to pay min aliyah, like regel itself, the best. But this is something that actually Rav asked on his iboye, as an iboye. The boy Rav asked the shayla chatzi nezek tzreides. This halacha that you pay chatzi nezek for the animal that kicks pebbles. Migufay mishalem. Does he pay it from the body, from the value of the body of the animal itself? And this is similar to the kind of payment that there is by keren. Rashi brings by keren, it says umachru es asher achai v'chotzo es kaspai, that you pay from the value of this body of the animal itself. Okay, we'll see about this later in the Gemara, all the details about this. So maybe the Gemara, Rava asked the Shaila, maybe tzreides is the same. Or no, you don't pay just from the value of the body of the animal itself. You have to pay from the best of your possessions that you have, similar to regel. When you don't pay from the body, you pay from the best that you have. That was Rava's Iboya. So the Gemara says, L'Rava miboyale. Rava takahadas is an Iboya. L'Rav Papa pshitale. But to Rav Papa, though, it was obvious that for regel you pay like regel itself. For the tzreides, that is, you pay like regel, which is to pay min aliyah, from the best of your possessions. That's according to Rav Papa. So the Gemara says, now L'Rava de miboyale. Rava, that in this detail of paying min aliyah, he had an iboya about this. It wasn't clear to him. So Amai Karla told the regel. Why do you consider Tzreit is to be a tail of regel. Says the Gemara, there's another detail that it's compared to regel, and that is lepaitra b'reshus harabim, that it would be potter if it damages in reshus harabim. We'll see later in the Gemara, shein v'regel are both unique in the fact that you only chayiv when it goes ubir b'zdei acher. If you go into your friend's property, if it's mazik in the reshus harabim, you're not chayiv for that. That's a unique leniency that you have regarding shein v'regel. Tzroidis has the same leniency. You only chayiv if it's going to damage in the person's property, not in reshus harabim. So basically, what you see over here is Rav Papa is saying that tzroidis is compared to regel even to be machmer, to pay min aliyah, and Rava says we compare it to shein v'regel only to be mekel, to say that you do not have to pay when it's in reshus harabim. Okay, let's finish off one more Indian over here. The Gemara goes back now to the Mishnah. Here it brings the source of the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. One second.
A couple lines up. What was the Gemara's question? How I correlate to Tere's till as a regular?
Yeah.
I mean, it was caused by regular. What do you want
It's
to
what?
call it? It was caused by regular.
Yeah, but it's caused by regel in a whole different way, the way regel itself damages.
Good, that's why it's called a tilta.
No, but you can. But it's a
regel.
halacha l'moshe misina. Why do you need a halacha l'moshe misina to say that tzreidus is chayiv? Because it's not trampling directly with the regel. It's just kicking pebbles, and then the pebbles flew and damaged the vessel that was there. So because it's only a koyach from the regel, so then maybe it's not a tail of regel b'chlal. It's just a separate halacha l'moshe misina. There has to be some halacha where it's saying the same as regel that tells us that it's a tail of regel. That's what the Gemara is asking that. Okay, there's a whole, the second Perek, there's a few blot about tzreidus, or whatever. Big Gemara there, we'll see all the details. Here, what we just did this is very unique how the Gemara did this. The Gemara was trying to figure out which tilde is not similar to the Av, but basically, this gave us like an overview of the next few prakim over here, that the Gemara is going to go through all the details of the tildes and the Avis and everything, but here we just got an overview of all the details, Bekitzer. That's what the Gemara did here. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah where it said Hamave v'ahevra chulu. So we mentioned before Bekitzer that Mave, there's a machlekes what that means. My Mave. So here's the source of the machlekes. What is the word Mave? Rav Omer Mave za'odam. Mave means a person that damages. Shmuel Omer, Shmuel says Mave za'ashen. Mave refers to the teeth of an animal. Rav Omer Mave za'odam. Where do you see that Mave refers to Adam? The Chsiv, the pasuk says Omer Shomer Osa Boiker v'gam Loila. Abisha says daytime is here or nighttime in Tevayim Boyu. If you're going to do tshuva, that's what it really refers to. If a person comes and does tshuva. So the point is that you see over here, this lashon of Boyu refers to an action that a person does. So just like that action of tshuva could be returning is an action a person does in the positive sense, Mave comes from the word Boyu, and therefore that refers to also an action that a person does in a negative sense, to damage. Shmuel says Mave z'ashen. Mave refers to the teeth of an animal. L'chsiv eich nechpesu Esav nivu matzpunov. How were the enemies of Esav found, looked and searched by Esav, and they uncovered what was hidden by him. So we see that what does nivu mean? Uncovering. Things that are sometimes concealed and you uncover it. And that's like the shein. The shein that is covered and gets uncovered. Okay, so that's the source that Mave goes in shein. My mashma, the Gemara brings the targum of this pasuk. The targum of Yosef targum translated this pasuk. Echdin, how Isbilish Esav did the enemies of Esav search Esgalimat Meroi, and they uncovered what was covered by him. Similar, like I mentioned, like Shane, that sometimes is covered and gets uncovered. Now the Gemara says, "V'Rav my time Aleoma Kishmuel." Why did Rav not want to touch the word Mava like Shmuel said that it refers to the teeth? Amalach mikatoni nive. Doesn't say in the Mishnah the word nive. If the source is like Shmuel said, nivu, that's what it says in the pasuk, nivu. So then, if it's Shane, it should have said in the pasuk in the Mishnah that is nive, not Mave. Or Shmuel my time Aleoma Karav. On the other hand, why doesn't Shmuel say like Rav? So he could also tell you it's not, the word in the Mishnah is not good. Amalach will tell you mikatoni boya. Does it say in the Mishnah boya? Boya, it would be more like the lashon of the pasuk in Tevayim Boyu. Okay, so therefore, the lashon of the Mishnah, the Gemara here is going to point this out. The lashon of the Mishnah is very interesting. Mave. It doesn't sound exactly like Rav, doesn't sound exactly like Shmuel. The Gemara is going to go through now here in the Hemshech, in the shot of the whole Mishnah, why Rav said like he said, why Shmuel said like he said. Just to finish off, there was with the story they had this printed recently again, that someone once came to Rabbi Yechidus, the Farkash brothers. He went to Rabbi Yechidus and he was learning Bava Kama as a child. And the Rebbe asked him what he's learning. And the Rebbe asked him questions on the Mishnah. And the Rebbe asked him over here about this. It says in the Mishnah Maveh, and there's the machlokes whether Maveh is Adam or Maveh is Shein. So the Rebbe asked him, so why did the Mishnah say Maveh? Why didn't it say clearly Adam or Shein? Why use a Lashon Maveh which is not clear? It could be either one. And here the Gemara itself says that according to Rav and Shmuel, the Lashon of the Mishnah is not clear. He didn't know what to answer, obviously, a little child. But I think it says in Mefarshim, maybe even in Rishonim still, that the Mishnah Taka wrote Maveh, a Lashon that could mean both, because both pshatim are Taka true. There's makim for this pshat and there's makim for that pshat. And the Mishnah Taka wrote it L'chatchila in this eifin that it should be kailul, should include both pshatim.